Hey, look at that. We clicked the thing. Live from our new studio.
It sounds like a really bad intro to Squid Games.
Hey,
look at that. We click the thing. Then everyone does.
oh no. Who would do such a thing?
I don't know. Why are there more sequels? And why is there a new American version being made? And yeah.
And there was a game show, just nobody actually died, which I don't understand. Okay, fine.
Where nobody, and the thing people didn't find it entertaining.
Because nobody died.
Because nobody died.
We're really terrible.
Like, where are we as a society?
Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't watch this. Nobody died.
That's why nobody's listening to this podcast.
Oh no. I can't make that promise.
No. It's like we bring on guests just to unalive them. It's not okay.
That's not a thing.
I mean, we read cut now.
Yeah, we read. Well, this is the pre-show. This technically doesn't even count. The podcast people out there in podcast land, they don't even know.
Although, if this podcast becomes a true crime comics podcast,
then we will be bank.
It'll be all the bankage.
Today.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Today on Only Murders in the Comic Shop.
Dude, right? I'd listen to that.
Should have saved that one for the podcast, but all right, let's do it. And 1, 2, 3. Greeting, valued poll listeners, and welcome to episode 98 of the Poll List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, the one, the only, he's somewhere over on that screen, Hector. Bright smiling faces on this early weekend. See, this week you get the comic show close to when you actually listen to it because life happens.
Oh, just a hair closer. Yeah,
just a little bit closer. One whole day. Not that any of you knew that, but now you do. So yeah, how's it going out there in North Kakalaki land?
I'm still confused by the term bi-weekly because it can mean
it can mean two different things, or twice a week.
No, it can also mean twice a month. Yeah, it can mean every other week or twice in a week. And I'm just like,
correct.
Why? English is the worst.
Aren't we? Like other cultures legitimately look at us and go, why you do it the hard way?
Like, why don't you language better? And I'm like, because had to do something where I was listing something about bi-weekly, and I'm like, I don't know what the right word is.
Yeah, that doesn't.
That one meme of the like space captain trying to decide between the buttons to push.
Yeah.
That's my brain every time I hear the word bi-weekly.
Technically, putting the word "bi" in any segment of time does that. But yes,
so weird.
Yeah, we're dumb. I don't know, but it's good. We've got comics. Well, yeah, mostly comics. We have things to talk about. Comics Pro was over the break, so I have news from that lovely thing. And it's mostly just Chris walking down memory lane and going, man, I wish I could go to Comics Pro still. It is by far one of my favorite industry things ever. So yeah, I guess that means we got to trudge on down, and I'm not in a small cube today. I'm at home, so
that's good.
Behold my stuff. So yeah. You know what that means. Strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves, for we've got comic sign.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better bring next song. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son. Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out.
Yes. On today's episode of The Poll List, we have a wonderful show for you. We're going to hit the latest news. Like I said, we're going to talk a bit about that little thing called Comics Pro. We're going to do some polls. I think I had polls. It feels like another one of those weeks.
Well, here's the thing.
So disappointing.
If two of our books overlapped of that I wanted to do,
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that. And I was like, I don't care. I have like no books.
Yeah, and then so I'm fully aware.
I was like,
But
nope.
for this 2-week bubble, I bought 9 books.
Yes.
Out of the 9 books, I feel like 7 were bangers.
Oh, then you lucked out.
Yeah. I feel like 7 were bangers of mine. And there were only 2 that I read that I just was like, meh.
Well, to be fair, I thought Wonder Woman was good, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it was similar, that I didn't have a very deep pile to pull from, and when I was pulling off the shelf, I was like, "Ooh, this go be close."
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get to number ones if we had one. Leave it for the podcast, and so much more. This is the Pull List Podcast. So, news. I said I got stuff to talk about from Comics Pro, but I'm going to talk about some of the other random things I found. First and foremost, and I feel like this should have been that I knew about this earlier. Maybe I did. I don't know. But part of IDW having Turtles back, or continuing, however you choose to look at that, they're doing some more new stories because, well, Last Ronin did really well and a lot of their other things. But Jason Aaron is going to write a TMNT book.
That's a big deal.
Right? I was like, huh. That's cool. And so it's part of a series that's going to be called TMNT Alpha. I believe it starts in June, if I recall correctly. Of course, it's not right in front of me, but fair enough. It is coming, and it's actually going to springboard off from a series that was TMNT called Return to New York, which actually originally ran in the first original series. I think it's like issue 19 through 21 was the first little small piece that Eastman and Laird did in their initial, but apparently it's going to have that vibe. But yep, you're going to get Jason Aaron side by side with Waltz, who is literally the cornerstone, Tom Waltz, the cornerstone of most of the writing at TMNT over the last quite a few. I think they said it's technically part of the last 150 issues or so, but I know.
Okay, that's pretty steep.
Yes. Yeah, for people that aren't aware, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles keeps cranking. There's lots going on there. And so yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I'm kind of curious to see Aaron over there writing in Turtle Space. And what else we got? There's a bunch of other cool. TMNT's also doing a book series called White and Green.
Like a black and white one?
It's white and green.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's got black. It's got lines and stuff, but I think it's more like the black and red. And the thing that Marvel did there for a little while. It's clever. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
It's
definitely a Marvel ripoff, but so did DC, never mind.
Yeah, don't care. Here I am. Good times. So moving right along. So you remember recently, and I think a lot of folks here probably remember that Mickey Mouse / Steamboat Willie technically hit public domain a while ago, right?
Right.
And we started seeing everybody and their cousin releasing the we've got Mickey Mouse in the thing. Comic book people don't have a chill. I think most of you have figured that out by now. Absolutely no chill. None whatsoever. So Savage Dragon, longest running continuity single series in the history of comic books, in June at number 271 is going to introduce
Steamboat Willie.
Boom. You're going to get Mickey Mouse. I guess that's technically a first appearance outside of Disney Comics.
Legally.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with that other than the fact that it's happening. I believe Keen Spot also has a book coming out in a similar frame that's basically the same thing. So don't act shocked when you start seeing Mickey Mouse in completely random places, but we're talking OG Mickey. So congratulations.
Keen Spot's known for doing parodies anyway, but this will be them actually doing.
Yes. Well,
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome to my party. It is the thing that happens. So yeah, that's the thing. But buried a little deeper in my news, I thought this was cool. Oni Press, which has kind of been going in and out of ownerships and other things and whatnot over the last couple years, is about to do something a little off brand for them. And they currently acquired EC Comics.
Who's
Do you
that?
have right? So here we go. We gotta turn that dial kind of way back. I guarantee you have seen EC books, but they're typically the very pulpy horror sci-fi books. Like you straight up Google that, you will find. I have no other way to describe it than how I just did, but they lived in basically the pre-code, the comic book code era of just everything's crazy and very adult and
Like
very
horror and very
yeah
like
real
NSFW.
crime, yes. All that kind of stuff, and they're going to start pushing out kind of similar stuff from that era, some of the stuff from their back catalog.
This is because our comics no longer have code.
Right. So
Do our comics no longer have code? Is that a thing?
it's not, no, the code authority is long gone.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like authority. I didn't know if it was even like still there. Okay.
I don't. I mean, they've got ratings on them, but I think it's kind of like video games that companies are like, yeah, sure, that's teen. And then everybody gets into an argument of what teen versus teen plus means. Comics are weird.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that was an era of comics that was really kind of wild art and definitely was like the B movie horror space of comic books. So congratulations. You get to read way more of that kind of cool stuff. But let's talk Comics Pro.
Yay, comics. Pro.
So, yeah, pro.
Not amateur.
Yeah, not amateur. This is the real deal, kids. This is where the rubber meets the road. Comics Pro
This is the real deal where people draw pictures on paper and then sell it.
Yeah, basically. So Comics Pro is the trade organization that kind of is one of the overarching for retailers in comic book space. And once a year they gather to hear from all the publishers. And it's kind of like, for all you other nerds, it's kind of like an E3. They'll show you like all the things that are coming and be like, don't, shh, it's secret.
But it outlasted E3.
Right. Yeah. Womp womp. So it's also an opportunity for retailers to learn from each other and also to sit down with publishers and throw things at them for when they're stupid. Wait, sorry, that's only Marvel. Because like historically, DC is really good about being like, here's all of our cool stuff. Take pictures and share with all of your cool fans, readers, and customers so that they'll buy more comics. And Marvel's like, sign this NDA, hand me your phone. Wah. That happened last year, by the way. I didn't hear those stories this year, so maybe Marvel learned a lesson. But last year, they literally hired a security guy to be like, "Put your phone down," because lame. But anyway, this is usually where a bunch of things for the slate for the summer, all the way through the end of the year, usually comes out, and we get kind of a glimpse of what the big two and what a lot of small indies, because the indies love to go because they're like, we are trying to move product. They want to talk to retailers, and it's a good time. So, what did we learn? Marvel.
I was like, you gotta tell me I didn't read this.
Yeah, Marvel. Yeah, please catch me up to date. Comic books cost a little bit of money right now, right?
I paid $6.99 for one yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm going to utter this bit of news and then I'm going to walk into it a little bit. Marvel claims that they plan on, for the rest of the year and going into 2025, that they want their primary price point to be $3.99 again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
and the McRib is gone forever. Keep talking.
Right. So it's like, yeah, okay, heard. Glad that you noticed that about the rest of us and everything, but I think somebody did the math on it, I think it's in this article. I'm going to find it again. They actually did the math on how many books currently are at that price point at Marvel, and it basically was a Oh, well, was it in this article or another one? A lot of people wrote on this point.
I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I can't find it, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it's like between 70 and 80% of their titles are not near this. And they're like, oh, yeah, the bulk of the line is going to return to $3.99, and number ones and top titles are going to be priced at $4.99. So no more of this $5.99 plus. And I'm like, cool story. Hope it's true. But
Yeah, but okay, so here's the deal. If you're Marvel, what's not a top title?
Right? No, that's some people are about to be
all your stuff
disappointed.
is a top title?
Clearly not.
Mm,
Yeah, exactly. That's a
shenanigans.
shenanigans indeed. So yeah, good luck, Marvel. I hope you're telling the truth, because those price points are murdering some small stores right now, because people are walking in and, oh, try this new book at $6.99. No, thank you. I'm good. So that was the first kind of surprising piece out of Comics Pro. And Marvel wasn't the only one that surprised this year. DC actually kind of learned a lesson this year. Any thoughts on the lesson that DC learned this year?
Stop doing crossovers?
No, amazingly enough, that wasn't it. DC is scrapping their Tuesday release and going back to Wednesday. That literally every retailer screamed at them and said, stop it. Having 2 release days is kind of annoying. And DC's like, our bad. We're good. We'll go back to Comic Book Wednesday.
It is, I don't know, man. It's kind of good for sorry, I didn't silence my phone. It's kind of good for what is it? Like social media purposes.
Oh no, the entire reason they did it was supposedly for marketing, but the stores, comic book collectors and people that read comics are weird, and it forced people either going later in the week. Historically, most stores showed it messed with the timeline for a lot of stores. I can't give you 100% reason why, but think of it this way. I remember when DC came out with Black Label, and everyone was like, the stories are going to be super dope, but why did you put them in magazine format? And that people didn't buy it simply because it was magazine format, and heard that complaint more than once. Collectors are weird, but DC's making the switch back. All your comic books will be available on Tuesdays. I don't recall exactly when that time frame is going to start, but I'd imagine probably in the not too distant future.
Well, here's the deal. I drive 45 miles to my comic shop. I'm
both
not
ways uphill in the snow. What?
both in the snow. I'm not going back 2 times a week.
Right.
So, like I only went on Wednesdays. But what I would do is I would see them post the, hey, here's the DC books, and
Right.
then I would, like, call them and say, please put those books in my box, and wait until Wednesday like a normal human.
Like a normal human. That's not how normal humans work.
Well, I can't afford to drive that far twice in a row. So
Fine, fair. The other thing, and this for those of you that are keeping score, Diamond also came out and said, we're totally cutting our shipping costs. Promise, for realsies this time. Pinky swear. The fingers are not crossed behind my back, because I'm pretty sure I've reported this 3 times over the last year. But at Comics Pro, Diamond laid out the new shipping levels and everything, and supposedly it's a real thing. So hopefully your comic book retailers will become much more happy over the next couple months, because Marvel books are going to be affordable. DC is stopping the nonsense of releasing on a separate day, and Diamond will actually get those books to where they are going at a lower rate, which means your comic book store makes more money, and hopefully they don't disappear into oblivion.
Fair.
Yeah, it's pretty good,
Yeah.
right?
Oh wait, is it sounding exactly like we're going to what everybody was doing before the pandemic?
No comment. Funny how
Wait,
that works.
is it like that streaming services have become cable? Is it like
Aw.
we advertise we want change and then become the very thing we rebel against in the first place?
This has been Hot Takes with Hector.
Lukewarm.
Lukewarm.
Lukewarm
These
takes
have
with
been
Hector.
lukewarm takes with the Hector.
It still needs 30 seconds in the microwave. That's how it goes.
Thank you for listening to Only Murders in the Comic Book Store. We're doing it. It's a thing. It's the first spinoff. Promise
Absolutely.
you. Yep. And that's what you need to know. That's our bi-weekly. See, it's right there. Did it again. Look at the industry and delivering you the
Hey.
inside knowledge. Hey, we do callbacks. As always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I and all of your other nerdy friends, or maybe make some new ones. We're not your boss or your friend boss.
I responded 3 times.
They had to tag you.
Not on, well on the first one, but I responded 3 times without being tagged, I think.
Yeah, we're on the Discord. We're talking about the Discord because Hector is still rebelling. But come hang out with us. Tell us what you liked, what you hated. Yeah, I'm plowing through it. You got no comments here. We miss things. We most likely miss things, especially when we were looking at the shelves this week. So, jump out there, give a little at Hector so he knows to come and say hi.
That's the best life choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So I guess that means we are left with talking about the comicses.
Yay, comic books.
It's almost why we do the thing.
Almost.
So yeah, talk to me. Tell me a story.
Okay, again, you took you took
How
2
many?
of my books. You took 2.
Oh, I know which 2. It's too easy.
Yeah. You know which 2.
Yep. I figured that in one way or another, one of those was like we just have to have a conversation anyway, especially after how
we're
that
gonna
played
talk
out.
about it anyway.
We're gonna have to talk about it. Mm-hmm.
The 2 that you took are ones that we would have spent more time talking about to begin with.
That's fair.
But
Penguin made my list too. Just to say.
Wait, did we both put Penguin?
Nope. I gave it to you.
Okay.
No, when you were saying that literally I read like 9 books and most of them were good, I was like, yep, that's a Hector. That's a Hector.
Yeah.
So, all right, hit me.
Okay. First up, let's see here.
First in Hector's grab bag of comics.
So those are the ones you stole. Okay. Let me hit here. Avengers Twilight is a banger.
Should I be reading that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
This here's the deal. The first 2 issues, I would have been like, I don't know if you need to be reading this.
Okay. But they got somewhere and it didn't suck.
Man, this
it's
is
always that way.
This is Civil War.
Okay.
This is like a good, authentic Civil War sequel.
Ooh.
This is Civil War as a sequel without them ever mentioning Civil War. So
that's a choice.
Well, it's not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Civil War sequel, but it gives me strong Civil War vibes. Now, when I say Civil War, I'm not talking the movie. I'm talking the feeling it actually felt like when you read comics week to week for 6 months, where your heroes were at odds with each other.
Okay.
This is that. The first issue, you're introduced to the fact that everybody's 70. That
I see what they did there.
Yeah. The first issue you're everybody's 70. Luke Cage is almost geriatric.
Oh man, is his Kingdom Come?
Bro, it could be Kingdom Come.
Oh, here it is. Everything good at Marvel has done it. Oh, never mind.
Easy, killer. Yeesh. But
I chose violence this morning. I'm sorry.
Why I'm going more with the civil? Well, golly gee, the Batman. This actually does match Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
There was a big foobar and called H Day, and all heroes were kind of disbanded after that.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't put it together until you said this. Um,
Go
all
on.
the heroes were disbanded after that. The government took over everything. Like
I mean, to be fair, Kingdom Come should have been like an X-Men story, but here we are. So go on.
here we are. Hold on one
Now
second. I
we're
just
now we're
realized
doing it.
my laptop's dying. Hold on.
Don't die. Stay with us.
I forgot. I didn't plug it in. Boop.
We're having technical difficulties.
Okay. But so there's an incident. It was called H Day. Bad things happened. And so all heroes were banned to the point they actually removed the super soldier serum from Steve Rogers' body
Yo.
to decommission him as a weapon.
Yo.
Yeah. Now all the old school heroes are meeting together in secret because the world has become a fascist 1984 dictatorship run by Tony Stark's son.
Yeah, that checks out.
First issue is setting up the world. Second issue is Captain America doing what Captain America would have done in any other comic book issue in the world, trying to inspire people, and they beat him down. Like, he puts on a costume, makes a speech in Times Square, and just gets utterly rejected. Like, they went lol and threw
Just
beer
kidding.
cans. The third issue is I don't want to spoil it because it's really good, but like it goes into literally things that happened in Civil War. And where you see new characters rising up and old characters pulling up their mantle. This is the best Avengers story I've read in a minute, and maybe it's because it's Kingdom Come. Shut up, man. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, all right.
But it's really good.
I guess I should read it now though, because yeah, that checks out. I'd read that.
And bro, there was so classic Captain America stuff. That I was on the phone with a friend when I was reading this issue. And like I got to dude, I mean, you're gonna tell me the answer to this line before I say it. He's fighting. Captain America's fighting a bad guy, and something chaotic happens, and the bad guy says, "What did you do?" And old crusty Steve says, "I did what I always do when things aren't, when things are out of control and I desperate need of help," or something to that effect. What's the answer? What do you think? And that's at the bottom right page. You turn the page. What do you think's on the next line?
I mean, I figure based on that, it's the Avengers Assemble thing.
No, but
really,
you're not far from it. No. Go back to like some of my favorite things that Captain America's done. Like literally, you turn the page. I prayed.
Oh wow!
I'm like yeah. And so I was like, okay. But then you get that moment coming up shortly after it. You get the assembly moment.
I'm about that,
dude. It's only 3 issues so far, and it's been fun. And let's see.
Chris and Hector says good things about
Marvel because
yeah.
they're doing DC Elseworlds.
Yeah.
So Nightwing 111. One of the best things about this book is that it's completely ignoring all the garbage going on in the Batman proper world, where the Bat family is disassociated from Batman. Now I will say this, because I don't want to ruin it in this capacity, but just to say this, Zdarsky is doing well. And by the way, Zdarsky's writing Avengers Twilight. That's his Avengers book.
All right.
That's his Avengers book.
That checks out.
That's what made me read it in the first place. That and Wesley Snipes' Twilight variant cover. Like with him putting sparkles on himself so he could be a shiny vampire. That's literally what sold me. We complain about stupid covers all the time, but if you've got, Blade covering himself in sparkles so he can be a Twilight vampire. I'm going to buy that cover. But this actually has Nightwing and Bruce in a good relationship.
Aw.
And it returns back to the Heartless story, which kicked off Nightwing this volume or this run of Nightwing stories, Leaping into the Light. This goes back to some of the best of Nightwing. It's a Bruce and Batman story team up. It's a classic Dick Grayson being raised as an orphan tie-in story. But it's a really great Brave and the Bold Nightwing and Batman. But one of the things that happens is there's a kid whose parents are killed. Surprise, surprise.
Seems to be how the Wayne family grows.
And Batman and Nightwing go to Renee Montoya at Gotham or GCPD, and like the kid, they're waiting on a family member to come take the kid, and they say, is it okay if we talk to him? And Renee's like, just you? To Nightwing, because she doesn't want Batman to scare the kid. And like literally, and it was one of the best moments. Check this out. Nightwing walks into the room. The kid jumps up, says Nightwing, hugs him real tight.
Ah.
And he says, "You're on my pencil case." And I was like, that one line, it says, "You're on my pencil case," like just made me honestly teary. Nightwing spends half the issue like giving the kid coping mechanisms and taking care of him, and then it turns into a sadistic plot twist with the kid in a little bit. Solid Nightwing, good Batman, solid mix with that. Because you stole the other two books,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wonder Woman #6. Now, this is good, and this would have been in my contender list. Before, because I didn't read your list until after I finished reading mine. And so I was debating. I was like, oh man, which one's going where? And then I read your list. I was like, well, never mind.
Too easy.
Too easy. But this one gives you a solid, and I'll say this, one, after having a conversation at a Comic-Con this weekend, it made me realize Tom King writes women well.
Right?
Yeah.
Can I also say, when this series started, I didn't think it was going to go that well.
No, the first issue was not a banger. But almost every issue after that has been almost groundbreaking. They gave you the classic Linda Carter spin at one point in this. Like they got the Wonder Woman like spin. But you get, but I'll say this. I was talking to a dude at a Comic-Con this weekend, and we were going through lists of shows and comics where women are written well. And we were like, oh. And I explained the concept of fridging to him. And, you know,
Aw.
And, because, yeah.
Today's word of the day is
fridging. But I'll say this. This is a battle-heavy comic. You get Wonder Woman fighting.
Yes. There was a lot going on.
You get Wonder Woman fighting Giganta. You get Wonder Woman fighting an angel lady. I don't know who she is. You get Wonder Woman.
Hera, I believe, in this context.
Okay. You get
the
Wonder
name.
Woman.
The name is in there once, and I went, yeah.
Okay.
But you get angel. Well, keep going. I'm going to double check something.
Okay. You get Giganta dropping the Washington Monument on Wonder Woman's head. Then you get Wonder Woman spearing Giganta with the Washington Monument.
Yeah,
like
that was
it's like thing. That. But then you get a knockdown, drag out battle with Darkseid's daughter, which is named Grail.
Yes.
Right? Grail? Did I say that right? Yeah, Grail. And that's a great fight, dude. Like, it's a solid fight. But here's the deal. Like, he tells such good storytelling with this battle that I always trust Tom King, even with failures and dragging your dead mother through a coffin or a desert.
Man, we're gonna get so much traction out of that.
Yeah, buddy. Listen, well, here's the deal, dude. How many years later and we're still talking about it?
Yeah.
Point made, sir.
And I can see that that panel in my head.
I can see
every
that
single time.
Right.
It's just
so
like,
listen,
it's just like, bro.
You would have poop on it, but it lasted. Name panels that have stuck with you as long as that one in the last year or two, right?
I don't know if that's a good thing.
all,
Yes, it
all,
did, but I
all
don't know if
publicity
that's
is good publicity. You
is it
haven't
though?
forgot it, and you still talk about it.
Why would you say that name?
Right? Again. Tell me you hear the word Martha and don't automatically go there now. Why would you say that name? And honestly, I thought that was I thought that was a valid point. The fact pointing out that they both had the same name and that being a weak, or that both their
Yeah, no,
moms had the
that
same name. I
and
hadn't
everyone,
seen that played out before.
yeah, everyone stops and goes, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, and that was smart. Was it the deepest thing to write? No, but it
Nope.
was a solid connection.
It happened
I
though.
I don't hate it. It was just the world hated all DC proper at that time, which is not just unhonorable or understandable. Um, this is going back to what is effectively a Penguin year one story.
Yes,
Um, we're getting Joker year one and we're getting Penguin year one, and I got to say,
I like
Penguin,
the old school rogues gallery for Batman.
yeah,
So I love depth there if it's done well.
yeah, and this is giving more depth to Penguin than he
Right?
ever deserved.
Fair.
And this is making
Fair.
Penguin a more lucrative threat. And this gives you Penguin just further establishing his empire, and how he's literally chess piecing this whole thing. But I want to say this. I want to point out this panel. Look, they straight gave you
Yeah.
My Neighbor Totoro with Penguin. Like the fat man with the umbrella. It's literally what it says. And I was like, bro, they just
Yep.
Totoro'd us. Let me backtrack to Nightwing for a second. They have a whole conversation about the monster at the end of the book in Nightwing.
Mm.
Do you know that book, Chris? The children's book where Grover's
No.
like, "You turn the page." Oh, you need to. It was a classic children's book where Grover's like saying, "Listen, there's a monster at the end of the book. Don't read any further." And then every time you turn the page, Grover freaks out. And then he's the monster at the end of the book, and it's like literally Grover just being his most Grover. It was one of my favorite books as a kid. They and so they did a flashback to when Dick's parents were killed, that Alfred said, "Here, read him this." And Batman says, "Why? He can read Tolkien. Why does he need this? Trust me." and and Alfred says everybody needs to read a book where they're the monster at the end of the story. And it was like, how did you take my most beloved childhood memory and make it deep? Because like on my little
Alfred rolls that way.
yeah, but like literally, that's one of my favorite things. I like when I'm doing sketches at cons. That sketch sells more than almost anything. But and this has him fully established as the villain, like the classic, going for cartoonish, and it also brings the Help into the story, which the Help has been
Yes.
one of the more interesting characters dropped in this world in a minute. So, all that being said, I did enjoy it, and again, listen, we're at a place where Zdarsky's being great, Zdarsky,
Yep.
and Tom King is Tom Kinging his Tom Kingiest. Because let me point out, both of these books, Tom King.
Yep.
And with the exception of what a book we shared, two of my books are Zdarsky. So razzle dazzle. Go ahead.
Good point. All right. Let's do it. Let's do the thing. Phantom Road should come as zero surprise to anybody. Like literally. This story keeps getting weirder. Which I now have to say once again, please land this plane. Don't mess this up. Because I'm now 9 issues deep and clearly what's going to be like a 20-something issue arc if I had to bet. If you mess up this landing, I'm going to be so disappointed. So anyway, the short version of this story is, I mentioned the FBI agent whose father was part of some program. Like, there's this part of the story where there's this FBI agent that you only kind of get here and there, and this gave us a little more of that. But the main characters of the truck driver and the woman that he picks up delivering the thing to Golgotha is still the primary story, but there's like this agent that's kind of doing this side by side story of basically, I think, trying to figure out what the crap is going on. And in this book, she finally meets the dude in the Hawaiian shirt, aka Beelzebub, whoever this crazy dude is, because he used to work with her father as the nexus there, and we caught that in a picture in the end of one of the last issues. But the little alien egg thing that the other two were transporting hatched this issue.
Ooh.
Yeah. And spoiler, non-spoiler, I want to find where they actually, yeah. It hatches into a little glowy baby. And as soon as that happens, both the truck driver and the other lady, like, their eyes glow and they go back in time in their memories, and you find out how both of them ended up screwed up human beings, which has been pretty clear through the story that both of them kind of have like a dark past kind of thing going on. Yeah. So they both see each other's thing, which means they also know what screwed up thing both of them did in their past or what happened to them. So for the woman, it was a traumatic experience that happened to her. For the truck driver, he had a really traumatic thing that happened in his life that I'm not going to give you either because I think it's kind of important to the story. But both of them are like, I think I get you now, but wow, that's kind of a thing. And then the FBI shows up and little alien baby looks at the SWAT team outside, and the SWAT team's like, we're coming in for the thing. And little baby does the little alien thing and basically does the and looks at them, and all their heads explode.
Jinkies.
Yep. End of book.
Okay.
Right?
Like end of issue?
No, end of issue. Yeah, if that was the end of the thing, like that might actually make me not sleep for a while.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure you'd revolt if that was the end of the book.
So they're still trying to take this thing to Golgotha that is now a being of some type that has astronomical powers, and the devil is chasing it or trying to get it to its location. That part's not actually clear now. So don't mess this up. That seems great. Also, Rare Flavors is going to be on my list through the end of this.
I was gonna say, I was like, as long as Rare Flavors is in here, because listen, dude, I'm not rating this book, but I'm enjoying you talking about it.
So this issue, the end of the last issue, it looked like our demon friend was going to get cut up just like he did to other people. And the videographer that he hired actually comes back to save him. And they have this really awkward conversation about the documentary guy's like, you killed and ate those people. And he's like, eh. But he's like, and the demon's like, you came back. And so he tells him his story. And that's this entire issue. And this is where I am not going to succeed at saying any of these names. So I'm going to talk around it. But basically, what Ram has done here, who's the writer, is this demon is a very particular demon. It's not like abstract or anything. This is actually out of Hindu culture. And this particular demon, that's what he did. He fed off from people that basically he needed to be satiated. And every now and then he'd be like, yep, time to go feed. But one of the heroes in the Hindu culture defeats him at one point. And what's really wild, and it makes me wonder if it's DC comic book writers back in the day were just really in tune with random things in the world. But the battle between this demon and the god was a Batman versus Bane, except inverted. The good guy takes this dude and literally snaps his back and kills him. And so this is, the kid's story of, these two beings fighting for power. But in this version, basically what happens is the demon didn't die. So he sulks off to recover and everything. And he meets a really kind person that feeds him, but doesn't feed him humans, feeds him actual food. And that's where this demon falls in love with food.
Okay.
And feeds less and less on people, to the point that he almost didn't need to anymore. And so now again, we're in this really weird headspace of, we know this thing is literally a demon and eats human beings, but you almost feel bad for him.
Sympathy for the devil.
Yeah, it's so I'm sitting here, like, I hit the end of this book and I like legitimately went and looked up the god and demon in the Hindu culture and found the story, because I was like, okay, now I want to understand this, because that's just wild. But I think there's still another twist in this story, because, like I said, the documentarian comes back and he's like, yeah, I mean, you're telling a story. I kind of get it now. But the very end is a panel from clearly the screening of the documentary, and it's just a picture of the documentarian. So the last book is going to close a bunch of stuff, far as I can tell. But I was just like, I did not see that one coming. And I imagine that was part of the goal here. That from what I gather, a fairly prevalent Hindu story is being taught here, but we didn't figure it out till book 4. And now you have to take that knowledge and back it into the other first 3 to understand that character and what's actually unfolding.
So let me ask you this real quick.
It's just wild.
Speaking of Hindu stories, did you watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. They reference the prophet as a plot point several times throughout the movie, or throughout the show. It's the book that was her favorite book that he, air quotes, read but didn't really read.
Right. Spoilers, not spoilers. Don't worry, you'll see.
Yeah. So it is in graphic novel form at Ollie's for $2. So I picked up a copy of The Prophet to read in graphic novel form, just so I could understand Mr. and Mrs. Smith a little bit better.
Right. So the thing I kind of ended up here, and I feel I'm not going to speak for the writer here, but I might ask him at some point. I get the feeling that this is kind of, this for me feels kind of like Judas, that there's a story very specifically being told here attached to a faith practice. And far as I could tell, it seems fairly honest, but obviously this one has a little more to the story, and I think we'll see when we get to the end of it. But now I definitely didn't think that's where this book was going. But
No,
it makes it a super interesting read, and how well intellectually this was put together is mind-blowing. So
no, and after listening to you talk about it for a while, this is definitely kind of grown leaps and bounds from what you initially anticipated.
right?
You're just like, ooh, subtle cannibals. Now it's just
right,
like,
subtle cannibalism.
It's the name of my folk album. Drops in February.
Right. So this is why I love indies and creator stuff, because you get stories like this that just make your head hurt, but make you go, that's really kind of cool. All right. I'll hit the one we probably don't have to spend a lot of time on here real quick, and that's Batman 144. So Joker Year 1 still going on.
I think it's the conclusion of Joker Year 1, didn't it?
No, there's definitely one more, because this does not, there's still stuff left. I think I heard somebody say that, and then I read this and I went, this can't be the end.
Well, I think I saw that too on somebody was commenting on our stuff, or somebody was making comments about the last issue,
it being confusing, and I'm like, well, there's a few things, and I'll signpost them here for this time. Is every single one of the Joker Year 1 things is leaning into the 3 Jokers thing. There are 3 separate stories being told out of sequence in all 3 books so far. So when the art changes and when all those things occur and you see a different Joker, it's because we're literally following the three Jokers, kind of on different paths, but also part of the same story. But we still get wonderful Jim Gordon. I love early years Jim where he's like, no, I'm gonna do the right thing whether it kills me or not, because that's just awesome. And also, I think the fun part about this Joker Year One thing is the fact that it underpins one of the Joker's biggest attacks on Gotham, but we're technically hearing about all the stuff around it instead of the thing itself is kind of fun and cool. So yeah, this is like very Zdarsky in all of the good ways. And I'm glad this one was hiding in his pile because I think I said it before. I was getting worried.
Yeah.
So that leaves me with Chris and Hector's shared experience. Daredevil number 6.
Yes.
Also known as, I'm going to find it. It's kind of important. Did you know it's a first appearance of?
Oh, who?
First white suit, baby.
No, it's not.
I've heard people say it is.
No, it's not. The whole white suit happened in Hell 9 issues ago.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So I guess it's technically first in this arc because he was done in because the Hell thing. But yeah,
And this is a sequel to that.
This is people trying to probably make a speculator book out of a non-speculator book, but that's not why
when he
that's
went
not
to
why
Hell.
we care about it. No, yeah, because
and
it was the whole
fought.
redeem thing. He did the Gandalf the Grey thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like garbage, bro.
Yeah, but people are dumb. So
Come on, bruv.
Bro. But
Do you ever see clips from the Poops and Giggles podcast?
No.
They're one of my favorite things. It's two dudes who are like best friends or whatever, and they just talk about random crap that you would talk about with your friends inside your living room, as Eminem would say. But it's just them making each other laugh, and it's hilarious. But they're two African American British guys. I guess they're not African American if they're British. They're British. I don't. They're Black British people. I don't know where the words go when we change countries.
Wow.
I was like, hold on, there's words here. They don't match. But they're hilarious. But I'm saying poops, but it's not poops.
Yeah. I got you. How do you want to unpack this? Because this entire book, the short version is literally Matt Murdock kind of coming to terms / explaining.
First, I'll say, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah.
But this might be the Daredevil issue with the most scripture in context.
Yes.
The 2 times I saw scripture prominently used was in correct placement. But basically, this has also been, if you haven't noticed, this has been a Brave and the Bold Daredevil book.
Yeah.
You get for at least for the last few issues, you get a special guest each issue. Like you got Elektra at 1 issue, then you got somebody else, then you got you got She-Hulk, you got different people being embodied by these demons and stuff like that. Doctor Strange shows up in the last book, and basically says, "Hey, or first, a priest tells Matt Murdock, mercy triumphs over judgment.
Right.
God loves you. God bless you and your family." And then
my brother in Christ,
Doctor Strange says, "You need to go to hell and battle your demons."
And Matt's like, "Yep. Feel like I already did that."
Yeah. And so he basically had to return to hell and battle his demons, which is, well, here's the thing too. Let's put this in context. If we're talking the white suit thing, the white suit only existed in hell.
Right.
When Daredevil emerges from his trauma in this one, he shows up in the white suit, still physically burning in Hell's Kitchen. Like he shows up IRL in the white suit. So if that's what you want to say is a speculation point,
maybe that's where they're leaning in on it, because
but still, that's
still
heavy-handed. That's not accurate.
That's how speculation works.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry, I stole your book.
No. That I figured this was going to be the one where we did that, but yes. The other thing that I really appreciated about this is basically they said that Murdoch is having his wilderness moment, and even used that terminology. So we're talking about literally Jesus' 40 days in the desert thing of facing all of the temptations or challenges. So this is kind of Matt's got to deal with his stuff. So there's a lot of depth there, and I'm kind of surprised with how this book has been building, that this one ended up actually handling it fairly well in comparison where this arc started, where we were like, oof, this might be a little heavy-handed in the wrong way. So
Yeah.
this is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and that's why I think it kind of sticks towards the top of our list still.
Yeah.
So yeah. We can drop the number ones, and I'll make things easy. Look, fam, I read books this
You have
week.
one.
Yeah, shameless self-promotion.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say this first, and then I will do this. I did not pick up a number one off from a shelf that I can in good conscience say, yeah, that was good.
Did you see the one I got?
I did, but literally any of those words in the same sentence makes me go, I'm not reading that.
Fair enough.
Even in a what if situation. And the cover art also made me go, I'm going to hate this book, because I've said it before on this podcast, and sorry, not sorry. If the art just doesn't sit there for me, I'm not going to read it. Like, it makes my brain go, this is too distracting. So
I
won't hate on other people liking it, but
I got the last sketch cover, and I had to pay variant prices for it.
okay,
Because
that's
it was
fair.
the
You
only
probably got a
one.
better cover. Because I think
Yeah.
the A cover on it just made me go, absolutely not.
Yeah. Fair enough. I saw some covers that I was not a fan of.
But I don't know how Hector wants to. We'll get to the thing. But so my number one for this week is our one and only Hector and friend Lyle, who I also know really well, wrote a comic,
We
and
did write a comic.
it got printed, and
It
it like
did.
exists. Do you have a physical copy you can show to the people? Because
You mean
I'm
this?
I'm not even important enough. He's like, you mean this bit of glorious? But Flockward number one from the one, the only Hector and Lyle,
Hey.
North Carolina's preeminent comic book people.
Yes, sort of like that. I'm also It's publishing comics is weird and hard.
And we're gonna circle back on this one, because I actually want to talk to Hector and Lyle and a couple other folks we know that have self-published stuff to bring to cons and things, because I think some of you might find that conversation interesting in and of itself. But basically, to steal some of Hector's thunder, Flockward is basically that story of
It's the puppet.
churches do weird things that are pretty awkward.
The
And
the phrase that's got my mind the whole time in writing this, because is good intentions extremely poorly executed.
yeah. So
Okay.
Hector tells stories that a bunch of church kids are going to go, oh, yeah. And other people are going to go, that's why they're a cult. But the point at the end of the book is
Both will happen. Yes.
yes. And I appreciated that, because I didn't grow up in that circumstance to be exposed to a lot of that, but I've heard the stories.
Well, Carla at Heroes Aren't Hard to Find, who runs Heroes Con.
Mhm.
I was at a show with her, and told her, I said, as I was telling her, so it's like, yeah, I've got a comic coming out with Lyle, and I said it's basically horror stories of growing up in church. And she said, it's because church is the scariest place there is. And I was like, fair.
Yeah. Mhm. So where can they get the thing, Hector? Tell the people where
Okay.
they get the thing.
So, like, as I was going to the publishing comics is hard thing, y'all, and there's zero shade involved in the words that are about to come out of my mouth next. this was originally made because I have some friends at Keen Spot that I was pitching this to as a, hey, you guys, like, they approached me about, you should make a book for us. And so I did Flockward with that intention. And like, I haven't heard back officially any word, so it could still happen that Keen Spot picks it up. But if not, I wanted to have some copies because I had shows to go to, and they can still do that anyway. And one of the things is, this is in black and white. If Keen Spot picks it up, it's going to be colored.
It will be colored. Cool.
It will be colored, because they will pay for that.
Comics ain't cheap, kids.
This pastor's budget cannot afford to pay an artist for color on this many pages. So that being said, I thought it was going to be easy. Ordering comics, even from the best comic supplier, is more difficult than ordering printed books from anywhere else.
That's fair.
The timing of waiting is fluid and uncertain. So I ordered an initial 25 and thinking, okay, I'll sell one or two of these and I can sell them to my friends online or readers or whatever else. I sold 10 of them at my first show. And then I'm like, well, I don't have enough to sell to online, so I'll order more. And I don't know when the others are coming. So here's the thing.
We will let you know.
You can get it from shows in person, which is going to be the thing right now. But today, as soon as this podcast is over, and so by the time you hear it, I'm, Lord willing, and the Amazon don't rise, because it's a creek.
Stop.
But
Please no.
It's a shopping creek joke. I'm loading this digitally so that you can buy it on Kindle.
Nice.
But because I wanted to make it something cooler, you get the original script and the original storyboards.
You nerd.
As a kind of a like deluxe edition. So,
and then you can see the pain and suffering of church kids and their awkwardness.
Oh, so just to ask you this, was there any experiences in there that did click for you? I know you didn't grow up in the church in that era, but like,
no, but interestingly enough, the short version of this story is issue number 1 actually was the only experience I had as a kid. I was the guest invited.
Okay. So that was your only church experience.
Yep.
Well,
and BT Dub, no puppets were involved, and you're just gonna have to buy issue 1 to find out what that means. Oof.
I share, one of my friends who's not a believer read this and said, if that happened to me, I would have never gone back.
Right? And yeah, pretty much.
And the thing is, like, I told this story out of order because it started in IRL. It was the lock-in first, then the youth group.
That's fair.
This made for better storytelling.
Yes,
but that being said, but yeah, it's you can get it from me in print. As soon as my second shipment comes in, you'll be able to buy physical copies on the Square store. I'm just waiting on my reorder, and then you can also buy digital, hopefully by the time you're hearing this, on Amazon.
Sweet.
And we'll let you know with that. And then my number 1, as I pull it out of the
I feel like we're required to say that was like, what is that, shared branding or whatever.
What?
We checked the box on Instagram that said that this was promotable.
Yeah, it's promotable. But to be fair, was it not the best number 1 you read this week?
It, technically speaking.
Yeah, there you go. It's the best number 1 you read this week.
You're welcome.
Now, I'll say this, because as I was reading the books, because I was going to make it my number 1 too, and be like double down on self-promotion.
That's lame. Don't be that guy.
Fight me, I would have. But here's why I didn't, because this was better than my comic book.
Yeah, that cover's way better than the A cover.
Yeah. But this issue was good. And like, as I finished this, I was like, oh, this was better than my comic. So I can be real about it.
Really?
Well, I mean, I like She-Hulk. But this is a what if Venom took She-Hulk. So this has the night that Eddie Brock was going to become Venom. The symbiote is about to go for Eddie and then take She-Hulk instead. But instead of becoming just villain, apparently Venom is taking over She-Hulk and putting Jennifer to sleep. And
so not really a symbiote, huh?
Well, no. Here's the thing: the symbiote bonds with the Hulk, not with Jennifer.
Oh, okay, that's clever.
So actually, you're getting more of a Moon Knight situation than a just straight up Hulk situation. Because he's getting Jake Lockley and everything. But you get this whole thing where She-Hulk, take a look at this. Like, She-Hulk is like full Venom, basically trying. And here's the thing: because she blacks out through so much, look, nice double splash page. Look at the thing. Look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. Look at the screen. Look at the
Stop.
pictures.
I see it.
Look it. It's so pretty. But you get some nice fights. You get Sabretooth versus Venom She-Hulk, which is nice. But what I didn't realize is this is not a one-shot, dude. This is going to be ongoing because it's not just going to stay with She-Hulk. So at the end of the book, Jake Lockley shows up in a cab. He's like, "Listen, I can get you help," and picks up She-Hulk. But then you come to the place where Wolverine is looking for Sabretooth. And if you look at the cover that's listed as is cover A the one that had like 5 different people in the Venom thing?
I think so. I don't remember. I just remember looking at it going, I don't need that in my life.
So if what I'm understanding is correct, if this continues on, it's going to bounce where Venom is jumping between people.
That's what I gather, because even in the preview of that, the cover is it is the 5 people. That's why I was like, nah, I'm good.
Well, here's the thing. I just wanted She-Hulk.
So Loki, like Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, and Wolverine.
Yeah. So it looks like Venom might be bouncing around to all of those things. Now, I might stop here.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I got what I wanted. Oh, that went in the wrong cover. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that was the thing. You did it.
All
right.
Yep. I mean, there's not much more to tell other than Venom had She-Hulk and it was pretty. You
know? Well, it kind of looks like that's probably going to do it for us here at the Pull List Podcast. Episode 98 is now in the books and in your ears and eyeballs and all the places, because you can see us on the YouTubes and all those different places. But we seriously could not possibly do any of this alone. We have a small army of talented human beings over sure.
Send off salute to Kate.
Yeah. So for our Love Thy Nerd folks, one of the founders, Kate, is moving on to the next adventure. Oh, Kate.
Oh, does she get like a Stephen Curtis Chapman walkout?
No.
This is great adventure. Put that in there, Matt.
All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Just kidding.
But we can't do this alone because of the other awesome people at the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network, of which we are a part. So be sure to visit lovethynerd.com for more information, previous episodes, other shows. You can see Hector like on half of them because he's a beast. And there's some other cool shows over there doing cool things. So definitely be checking that out. But Hector and I do want to honestly thank you for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a near weekly basis. See, I didn't say bi-weekly that time. So don't leave us hanging. Rate and review the
near is so vague.
It's supposed to be vague. That's the point.
Yeah, but like that's like that could be 2 weeks, that could be 3 weeks, that could be twice in 1 week. Who knows?
Well, once upon a time, while we were a fledgling podcast, that was accurate. Maybe I should update it to say on the bi-weekly basis, because we're professionals here.
On the bi-weekly basis, except 4 months out of the year.
Anyway, rate and
for
review
8 months out of the year, we're bi-weekly
mostly, except when we're not. So nearly weekly basis. Remember to rate and review us. We like stars; they're fun. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, YouTube. Like we said, you'll find us. We're out there. We've been doing this a while. Episode 100 approacheth. But seriously, thank you for listening. And remember, kids, read more comics.
I'm gonna take all 7